The defiance of ancient warnings. Grand Admiral Vextaler of the Arcosian Empire stood on the observation deck of the Sovereign Dominance, his flagship and pride of the Imperial fleet. His 6 eyes, arranged in perfect symmetry across his angular face, focused on the holographic display showing a small spiral arm of the galaxy. The territory was unremarkable, merely 23 star systems on the edge of explored space. Yet the information his scouts had gathered made his 4 hearts quicken with anticipation. Humans, he said, the word alien on his bifurcated tongue. How fascinating that such a species could cause our archives to issue caution markers. Senior Archon Nithera approached, her ceremonial robes of station rustling softly against the polished deck. Grand Admiral, the Council of Elders has reviewed your expedition proposal. They advise strongly against it. Vextaler's scaled skin rippled with irritation. The Elders rely too heavily on ancient texts, Archon. The warnings about humanity come from records nearly 7,000 cycles old. All the more reason to heed them, Nithera insisted. The archive entry is clear. The species known as humans must not be challenged or provoked. They are to be given wide berth in galactic affairs. It bears the highest warning classification. The Grand Admiral turned his attention to tactical displays, showing the comparative analysis between Arcosian and human technology. Look at these readings, Archon. Their ships use rudimentary fusion drives. Their weapons are kinetic or low-grade energy-based. Their defenses would crumble under our plasma arrays. Technology isn't everything, Admiral. The archives speak of other qualities. Superstitious nonsense, Vextaler interrupted. Our empire has subjugated 362 species across 12,000 star systems. What could possibly make these humans different? Nithera's facial ridges flushed with concern. The archives mention adaptability beyond measure, creative problem-solving that defies prediction matrices. And most concerning, they speak of humanity's response to threats as disproportionate and absolute. Vextaler barked a laugh that echoed across the observation deck, causing junior officers to flinch at their stations. All the more reason to bring them under the Empire's protection quickly, before they become a genuine threat. The Directorate has approved my expedition, Archon. We depart for human space in 20 rotations. As Nithera departed, her expression troubled. Vextaler studied the image of Earth captured by long-range sensors. A blue and green world, seemingly unexceptional. Yet something about it called to him, a conquest that would cement his place in Arcosian history. They'll thank us for civilizing them, he murmured to himself. They all do, eventually. The first contact between humanity and the Arcosian Empire occurred at Diplomatic Station Epsilon, a neutral facility in deep space that had been hosting interspecies meetings for over a century. Earth's representatives included Ambassador Sarah Chen, General Marcus Okafor of the United Earth Defense Force, and Dr. Elijah Washington, xenobiologist and cultural specialist. The human delegation watched as the Arcosian shuttle docked. When the airlock cycled open, they found themselves face to face with Grand Admiral Vextaler himself, flanked by armored guards and diplomatic aides. Ambassador Chen stepped forward with practiced calm. On behalf of Earth and her colonies, I welcome you to Diplomatic Station Epsilon. We hope this meeting marks the beginning of peaceful relations between our peoples. Vextaler's translator processed her words, and he responded with what passed for a smile among his kind. A slight parting of facial plates that revealed rows of crystalline teeth. The Arcosian Empire acknowledges the human confederation. We are pleased to find new species eager to join our community of worlds. General Okafor's posture stiffened slightly, but Chen maintained her diplomatic composure. Perhaps there's been a misunderstanding, Grand Admiral. Earth isn't seeking to join any empire. We're interested in establishing mutual trade and recognition as sovereign equals. The subtle clicking from Vextaler's throat was not translated, but Dr. Washington recognized it as amusement from his studies of similar species. The Grand Admiral gestured broadly. Of course, Ambassador. All negotiations begin with optimism. Let us proceed to the conference chamber where we can discuss the terms of our future relationship. Throughout 3 days of talks, the Arcosian position became increasingly clear. Their diplomatic mission was merely a formality before integration. They viewed humans as a primitive species requiring guidance and protection, with substantial resource tributes as payment. On the final day, Vextaler laid out the Empire's proposal directly. Earth and its colonies would become a protectorate, with Arcosian governors installed on each world. 20% of all resources would be redirected to imperial needs. Human military forces would be disbanded, with security provided by imperial forces. In exchange, the Grand Admiral concluded, you receive the full protection of the Arcosian Empire, access to certain technologies deemed appropriate for your development level, and the privilege of limited representation in the Imperial Assembly. The human delegation exchanged glances. Ambassador Chen spoke carefully. Grand Admiral, with respect, these terms are completely unacceptable. Humanity will not surrender its sovereignty. We propose instead a neutral trade agreement and non-aggression pact. Vextaler's expression didn't change, but the temperature in the room seemed to drop. Ambassador Chen, perhaps I haven't made the situation clear. This is not a negotiation between equals. The Arcosian Empire has encountered hundreds of species at your development stage. All now prosper under our guidance. General Okafor leaned forward. And those who refused your guidance. They came to understand the benefits of cooperation. Vextaler replied smoothly, usually after a brief but instructive demonstration of imperial power. Chen's voice remained steady. Are you threatening Earth with military action, Grand Admiral? I am offering reality, Ambassador. The galaxy is vast and dangerous. Small, isolated species like yours rarely survive without protection. We can provide that protection peacefully, or we can demonstrate why you need it. The choice belongs to humanity. As the meeting concluded, Dr. Washington approached the Grand Admiral privately. Sir, if I may, our historical archives contain references to ancient conflicts with spacefaring species. The records suggest that humanity has been encountered before, long ago. Indeed, Vextaler seemed genuinely curious. Your species has only achieved interstellar travel in the last 2 centuries. Yes, but we appear to have been visited, and those visitors left warnings for others. Vextaler's eyes narrowed. Are you suggesting that the Arcosian Archives cautions originated from your own species? I don't know, Washington admitted, but I believe both our peoples would benefit from further cultural and historical research before any irreversible decisions are made. The Grand Admiral considered the human scientist. Your concern is noted, Doctor. However, the Empire's path is clear. Your delegation has 14 standard days to present our terms to your leaders. We await their wise decision. Back on Earth, the United Nations Security Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from the colonies joined via quantum link as Admiral Helena Rivera, chair of the Joint Chiefs, presented her assessment. The Arcosian fleet consists of approximately 200 capital ships and 600 support vessels. Their technology exceeds ours in several areas, particularly in FTL drive efficiency and energy weapons. However, she highlighted several technical analyses. Their defensive systems appear vulnerable to concentrated kinetic strikes and certain electromagnetic frequencies. President Luis Garcia of the United Earth Government looked grim. What are our chances in a direct confrontation? Poor initially, Admiral Rivera admitted, but improving with every hour as we analyze their technology. Their systems are advanced but predictable. They rely heavily on overwhelming force rather than tactical innovation. Secretary General Amara Okonkwo of the UN spoke next. Dr. Washington's report suggests the Arcosians are ignoring warnings about humanity in their own historical records. What do we know about these warnings? Dr. Washington stepped forward. Very little, Madam Secretary, but similar cautions appear in the records of 3 other spacefaring species we encountered. all contain variations of the same message. Do not provoke the humans. We've always assumed these were references to ancient conflicts we have no record of. Fascinating. General Zhao of the Asian Confederation mused. Some ancient encounter with humanity left such an impression that it echoed through thousands of years of alien history, yet we remembered nothing of it. President Garcia brought the discussion back to immediate concerns. Options, people. The Arcosian ultimatum expires in 12 days. Admiral Rivera's expression hardened. We've already begun mobilizing the fleet, Mr. President. Colonial defenses are on high alert, but I recommend a strategy the Arcosians won't expect, which is apparent capitulation. The room erupted in protest until Rivera raised her hand. Hear me out. The Arcosians expect either immediate surrender or a conventional military response. Instead, we negotiate for time while positioning our assets. We appear to reluctantly accept their terms while preparing our real response, which is Secretary General Okonkwo pressed. Rivera's smile was cold. Something the Arcosians will never see coming. Grand Admiral Vex Taller was pleased when the human delegation requested an extension of the deadline. It confirmed everything his cultural experts had predicted. Faced with superior force, humans would choose survival over principle. He magnanimously granted them an additional 7 days. What puzzled him was the human request for integration preparation teams to be sent to their outpost on Europa, Jupiter's moon. The explanation, that they wished to understand Arcosian administrative procedures, seemed reasonable, yet something about it triggered his instincts. Deploy surveillance drones to monitor all human military movements, he ordered, and send a mid-level diplomatic team to this Europa outpost. I want to know what they're really planning. The intelligence reports were reassuring. Human fleet movements were minimal, consisting mainly of defensive repositioning. Their media networks were filled with debates about the benefits of Arcosian protection. There were protests, of course, but no signs of unified military preparation. On the 18th day after first contact, Ambassador Chen transmitted humanity's response. Conditional acceptance of protectorate status, with requests for minor adjustments to resource quotas and governance structure. You see, Archon, Vex Teller told Nithura, who had remained troubled throughout the expedition. The warnings were meaningless. The humans recognized the futility of resistance. Perhaps, she conceded reluctantly. Yet something feels discordant. The integration team reports that the Europa facility contains surprisingly advanced research equipment for an outpost supposedly focused on water purification. All species attempt to hide certain technologies during integration. Vex Taller dismissed her concern. It's to be expected. The formal acceptance ceremony was scheduled for the following day. As a gesture of imperial benevolence, Vex Taller ordered the release of the human diplomatic team, who had been detained aboard the Sovereign Dominance as insurance against treachery. Ambassador Chen thanked him with perfect diplomatic courtesy, showing none of the resentment or fear he had expected. It was almost as if she pitied him. Before we depart, Grand Admiral, Chen said, I have a message from my government. The ancient warnings about humanity were not exaggerated. They were incomplete. Before Vex Taller could demand clarification, his tactical officer interrupted with alarm. Grand Admiral, we're detecting massive energy signatures from the Europa facility. Weapons, he demanded. Unknown, sir, like nothing in our databases. As Vex Taller turned back to question the ambassador, he found she had already been transported away by some unseen mechanism. In her place floated a small holographic projector that activated to display President Garcia's face. Grand Admiral Vex Taller, you were warned by your own ancestors not to challenge humanity. You chose to ignore that wisdom. What follows is the consequence of that choice. The transmission ended, and throughout Arcosian ships, systems began failing in cascading patterns. The Europa facility, now revealed as an advanced weapons platform, launched its first strike, not with conventional weapons, but with something far more terrifying to a species that had relied on technological superiority for millennia. The war for humanity's freedom had begun, and the Arcosians were about to learn why the ancient warnings existed. The fury of the gentle giants. The attack from Europa wasn't a conventional weapons strike. It was something far more insidious, a highly sophisticated cyber warfare package that had been specifically engineered during the diplomatic delays to target Arcosian systems. Within minutes, half the Imperial fleet lost weapons control, life support faltered on a dozen ships, and communication networks dissolved into chaos. In the command center of the sovereign dominance, Grand Admiral Vexteller watched in disbelief as system after system reported critical failures. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Their technology is primitive compared to ours." His chief engineer, Technos, worked frantically at the main terminal. "They've somehow introduced self-replicating code directly into our quantum processing cores. It's unlike anything in our records. It adapts to our countermeasures faster than we can implement them." Vexteller's rage was cold and focused. "Disable all networked systems. Revert to isolated operations protocols." "Already attempting that, sir," Technos replied. "But the infection is spreading through subspace communication channels we didn't even know were vulnerable." Senior Archon Nithera approached, her usual composure shaken. "Admiral, we're receiving reports from the integration team on Europa." Before communication was lost, they transmitted images of the facility. It wasn't a weapons platform at all. It was a decoy, filled with quantum entanglement devices paired with receivers they must have smuggled aboard our vessels. "Impossible," Vexteller hissed. Every delegate was scanned. Every gift and document was examined. The tactical officer, still striving to restore weapons systems, looked up. "Sir, we're detecting multiple launches from Mars and Titan. Small craft, extremely high velocity." Vexteller forced himself to think clearly through his fury. "Defense grid status. Partially operational, sir. Point defense systems are responding on manual control, but targeting is compromised. Order all ships to commence emergency launch of fighter squadrons," Vexteller commanded. "Use visual targeting if necessary." As he issued the order, the first wave of human vessels came into visual range. They were not the primitive craft his intelligence had reported. These were sleek, matte black attack ships that moved with impossible agility, their hulls seemingly absorbing both scanner signals and energy weapon impacts. "They deceived us," Nithera whispered. "Everything we thought we knew about their technology was deliberate misinformation." "Impossible," Vexteller repeated, but with less conviction. No species would hide its true capabilities to this extent. The battle that followed was unlike anything in Arcosian military history. The human vessels didn't engage in formation combat or follow any recognizable tactical doctrine. Each ship operated independently, targeting key systems with surgical precision. They avoided destroying Arcosian vessels entirely. Instead, they systematically disabled propulsion, weapons, and communications while leaving life support intact. "They're not trying to kill us," the tactical officer realized with shock. "They're neutralizing our ability to fight without causing casualties." Vexteller couldn't comprehend the strategy. Why show such restraint? It makes no tactical sense. Nithera, who had studied the ancient warnings more seriously than her commander, provided the answer. "Because they're sending a message. The warning in our archives wasn't just about human military capability, it was about their nature. They're showing us they could destroy us utterly, but are choosing not to." As the Admiral struggled to formulate a new strategy, a direct communication channel opened on his command console, bypassing security protocols that should have made such access impossible. Admiral Helena Rivera's face appeared on the screen. "Grand Admiral Vexteller, your fleet is disabled. Your ground forces are isolated. You have two options: immediate unconditional surrender, or we will be forced to demonstrate our actual military capabilities rather than this measured response." Vexteller's pride warred with his tactical assessment. "You ambushed us with hidden technology and dishonorable tactics. This is not victory, it is treachery." Rivera's expression remained calm. We used every advantage available to defend ourselves against an aggressor who threatened our sovereignty and freedom. As for honor, there is none in your empire's practice of subjugating lesser species through intimidation. Our civilization has stood for 20,000 years, Vex Teller countered. We have brought order and progress to hundreds of worlds. At the cost of their self-determination, Rivera replied. Humanity will not sacrifice its freedom to become another trophy in your collection. Now make your choice, Admiral. Surrender, or discover why the ancient warnings about humanity were written in such urgent terms. As Vex Teller hesitated, new reports flooded in. Human forces had appeared at 6 Arcosian colony worlds simultaneously, small, elite teams deploying the same devastating cyber warfare techniques. Imperial governors were reporting complete system failures. The most powerful defense networks in the galaxy were being unraveled by an enemy that, according to all intelligence, shouldn't have even been able to reach those worlds. How? Vex Teller demanded. How did you deploy forces across such distances so quickly? Our sensors would have detected your ships. For the first time, Admiral Rivera allowed herself a small smile. We've had faster-than-light communication capabilities for decades, Admiral, and quantum entanglement transportation for elite forces for almost as long. We kept these technologies hidden precisely because we anticipated encounters like this one. The revelation staggered Vex Teller, a species that concealed its true technological level, that chose defensive preparation over displays of power. It defied everything he understood about civilizational development. Nith-Era stepped forward. Admiral Rivera, if I may, the Arcosian archives contain warnings about humanity that date back thousands of years, yet your species has only achieved interstellar travel recently. Can you explain this discrepancy? Rivera's expression grew more serious. Earth was visited approximately 12,000 years ago by a species calling themselves the Precursors. They attempted to harvest our planet's resources and enslave our ancestors, who were pre-industrial at that time. What followed has been erased from most galactic records by the Precursors' descendants out of shame. What happened? Nith-Era asked, though from her expression, she already suspected the answer. Humanity united against an impossible technological advantage, Rivera explained. Through sheer determination, sacrifice, and unconventional tactics, our ancestors destroyed the Precursor fleet and captured enough of their technology to send a warning. Leave Earth alone. The Precursor civilization eventually collapsed, partly due to the resources lost in that failed conquest. Vex Teller couldn't process what he was hearing. You expect me to believe that pre-industrial humans defeated a spacefaring empire? It's why we're so cautious now, Rivera continued, ignoring his disbelief. That victory cost millions of human lives. We learned that technological advantage doesn't guarantee success against an opponent fighting for survival. It's a lesson your empire needs to learn as well. The tactical display updated with new information. Human forces had secured control of the Imperial communication network. Messages were being broadcast throughout Arcosian space, showing the disabled fleet and explaining the situation to all Arcosian worlds and subject species. Vex Teller realized his options had collapsed to one. What are your terms, Admiral Rivera? Immediate withdrawal of all Arcosian forces from human space, recognition of Earth and all human colonies as sovereign territory, reparations for your unprovoked aggression, and, her eyes hardened, freedom for any species within your empire that wishes to claim independence. That would destroy the empire, Vex Teller protested. Only the parts built on coercion, Rivera countered. Any relationship that cannot survive freedom doesn't deserve to exist. You have 1 hour to communicate your acceptance of these terms. 3 months later, Vex Teller stood before the Council of Elders, no longer wearing the insignia of Grand Admiral. The council chamber was somber, with many empty seats representing the former subject worlds that had declared independence following the disastrous encounter with humanity. The warnings were precise, Elder Cathar said heavily. Yet you chose to ignore them. I believed them exaggerated, Vextaler admitted. Nothing in my experience prepared me for them. Archives keeper Toraville activated the central holographic display, showing the latest intelligence on human activity. Since the conflict, the humans have established diplomatic relations with 17 former imperial protectorates. They are sharing certain technologies, particularly agricultural and medical advancements, while carefully avoiding weapons technology. They seek to replace our influence with their own, one counselor suggested. Nithera, newly elevated to the council for her wisdom during the crisis, shook her head. No, they're helping these worlds achieve genuine independence. There are no tributes, no governors, no imposed cultural standards. They offer aid freely, asking only for peaceful relations in return. It defies rational governance, another elder complained. Without central authority, how can progress be maintained? Perhaps, archive keeper Toraville suggested carefully, our understanding of rational governance needs revision. The humans have shown that cooperation need not come through force. Vextaler had spent months analyzing the brief conflict, trying to understand how everything had gone so catastrophically wrong. They could have destroyed us completely, he said quietly. Their cyber weapons could have shut down life support across our fleet. Their hidden technology could have reduced our worlds to ash. Yet they chose the path of minimal casualties. The ancient warnings make more sense now, Nithera observed. The caution wasn't just about human military capability. It was about their approach to conflict. Do not provoke the humans wasn't just tactical advice. It was recognition that humans fight differently than any species we've encountered. The council fell silent, contemplating this insight. Finally, Elder Cathar spoke again. The Empire has stood for 20,000 years through strength and order. Now we must learn a new way. The humans have requested a formal diplomatic meeting to establish ongoing relations. I propose we approach them not as conquered foes, but as a civilization that has received a difficult but necessary lesson. On Diplomatic Station Alpha, newly constructed in neutral space, Ambassador Chen welcomed the Arcosian delegation led by Nithera, now serving as senior diplomatic emissary. On behalf of Earth and her colonies, I welcome you, Chen said, echoing her words from their first meeting. We hope this marks a new beginning between our peoples. Nithera performed the ceremonial greeting of equals, a gesture that would have been unthinkable to any Arcosian diplomat before the conflict. The Empire acknowledges Earth and all human territories as sovereign entities deserving of respect and friendship. As the formal ceremony concluded and the delegations moved to private discussions, Nithera spoke more personally. My people are struggling to adapt to this new reality, Ambassador. Many still cannot comprehend how thoroughly you outmaneuvered us. Chen smiled. It's not about technological superiority, Emissary Nithera. Humanity's greatest strength has always been our diversity of thought. We don't approach problems from a unified perspective. We bring countless different viewpoints. Yet you appear to act with remarkable unity when threatened, Nithera observed. An old human saying explains it. The most dangerous animal is a cornered one. Chen gestured toward the view screen showing Earth. Our history is filled with examples of overwhelming odds overcome through desperate innovation. It's written into our cultural DNA. The truly remarkable thing, Nithera said, is that despite this capacity for devastating response, you chose restraint. Your forces disabled rather than destroyed. You offered terms rather than annihilation. Another human characteristic, Chen explained. We understand the value of redemption. Most of us believe that enemies can become allies, given the opportunity to change. Not all humans feel this way. No, we disagree on almost everything. It's part of what makes us human. But enough of us recognize that permanent peace is better than temporary vengeance. The two diplomats watched as Earth rotated slowly on the view screen, blue and green, and seemingly peaceful from this distance. The revised entry in our archives will be more accurate, Nithera said finally. It will still warn against provoking humanity. But now it will explain why. Not just because of your hidden strengths, but because of your capacity for both righteous fury and unexpected mercy." Chen nodded. "And our records will note that the Arcosian Empire, unlike some adversaries from our past, had the wisdom to adapt rather than persist in error." "A new beginning," Nithera agreed. "Between equals," Chen added, extending her hand in the human gesture of agreement. After a moment's hesitation, Nithera took it, completing the symbolic transformation from imperial demand to mutual respect. In the observation lounge, Vextaler watched the exchange, still struggling to reconcile everything he had witnessed. The Empire was forever changed, smaller now, but perhaps eventually stronger for having faced this crucible. The humans had not just defeated his fleet, they had challenged the very foundations of Arcosian understanding of power and civilization. Perhaps, he murmured to himself, there is wisdom in these warnings after all. Across the galaxy, the message spread among spacefaring species. The ancient cautions about humanity had proven true, but incomplete. Do not provoke the humans, not only because they will defend themselves with unexpected effectiveness, but because they offer a better path than subjugation. A path where strength doesn't require domination, and where former enemies might find redemption. It was a lesson the Arcosian Empire would never forget.